Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a part 2 video of the first step I did on this knife here. If you go back a couple days, I showed how to prep the handles and how to epoxy the handles on this knife I'm working on. And today we're going to be shaping the handles and finishing the handles on this teak wood. And so stick around for that. Thanks for watching. So the first thing we're going to do is take off the clamps, obviously. This has been drying for 2 full days now, so the epoxy is totally hardened. Like I said in the previous video, the instructions say to cure for about 24 hours, but I like to wait for 2 days. For example, this one here that I epoxied up yesterday, if I stick my nail there, it's hard, but still a little bit sticky. I can feel that. But this one has been 2 full days, is like rock solid. So, shouldn't have any problems there. I'm going to take this over to the bandsaw and cut the shape around these bigger parts that are extra. So I'm going to cut that off here. Okay, so I shaped it down a little bit with the bandsaw. Like I said in the previous video, my bandsaw blade is really bad. I gotta replace it, so I didn't get very far, but I got far enough. I'll take it over to the belt sander now and shape it the rest of the way there. Okay, so I have a 80 grit aluminum oxide belt on here. It's not new, but it still has a lot of grit left. And the other thing I'm going to be using throughout this is this rubber block. I got this from Red Label Abrasives, and I really like it. It cleans off all the junk in the grit, and it makes it like new again. And it makes my belts last a lot longer, so I'll leave a link to that in the description. But let's get to shaping this. First I'm just going to grind it down right to the metal, and I'll know when it hits the metal because this is 1095 steel, so it's going to spark, and I'll see metal sparks. So I'll just shape it right now, and I'll also grind down these pins, being careful not to overheat them and melt them. Alright, here we are right now. We got it all cleaned up right to the metal. And I'm going to get the small wheel attachment and clean up there. There's the finger groove. And I'll get that out here. Alright, there it is. All cleaned up around the finger groove, and it looks nice around all the metal parts. So now I'm going to put it on the flat platen, and I'm going to get these even, both sides of the scale. Right now this one's quite a bit bigger than this one in some spots. It's pretty even over here, but I'm going to get them both shaved down until it's the right thickness and they're both even with each other. Alright, there we go. Both sides of the scales are completely even on both sides. And I think it's looking good. The person I'm making this for wants the handles to be pretty rectangular. They don't want it really round. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a higher grit belt, maybe 120 or something. And I'm just going to round these corners slightly and leave it mostly at this shape. Of course, I'll bring this up to a higher finish, but I'm not going to do a ton of shaping on this one because they want it more rectangular. So I'm going to switch to 120 grit belt, clean that one up, see how well that works, gets all that junk out of there, and this belt is basically new for next time, at least for a lot more years. I'm going to use my own kind of slack belt method up here at the top. You can see there's a little bit of slack there. I can make it a little bit more. It's pretty loose there. Then I use that to round the corners. I think it works nicely. Here's a 320. And here's a 400. And there we go. I think that's a nice smooth finish. Looks good, feels good. I'm gonna do some hand sanding on this also to get it up to 600 grit. So we'll take that in and do that now. Okay, I'll get this clamped up to the table. That's how I like to do it. I'll do some 600 grit on here. I cut all my sandpaper into strips when I bought it, and that makes it really nice, especially when I use the stick. But it works well for this too, to round the corners. Go like that. Didn't need much there. I'll flip it over. And there we go. That feels really nice. So how I'm gonna finish this, I think I'm just gonna use some polyurethane, because I'm making this for someone that has one of my other knives and they liked it so much they got another one, and I had polyurethane on the first one. So right here, fast drying polyurethane, only takes about 30-45 minutes to dry, and then I'll do another coat, do a few coats. So, get my little vise here. I like to use that. Clamp it up to the table. First, I'm going to clean this all off. Make sure there's no dust or any wood grain that's filled with junk. I want it to be as clean as possible for the polyurethane. Alright. I'll use a piece of a paper towel folded a few ways. Just like that. that brings out that nice light color. And we'll let that dry for about an hour or so. And then we'll put on a second coat. Alright, so it's been a couple hours and it's dry. I'm going to put another coat on this, but after the first coat I'm going to get some quadruple steel wool and sand off all the roughness. It's not in the word, but after the first coat of the polyurethane it gets a little rough. And you just need to do is just to smooth it down. Not much of it. Just a little bit will do it. And this will wear most of the polyurethane away, but the second and third coat and everything after that will be smooth. There we go. That feels pretty nice there. Alright, let's get the second coat on here. This second coat really brings out the color, which I think is pretty neat. Okay, so I'm going to do one more coat on here. It's been a little while, an hour and a half or so. I think one more coat will do it though. It's feeling nice. Nice and smooth. And here's the finished product. I think the handle came out nice. Looks nice with the teak. And the polyurethane gave it a nice shine without being too glossy. But there it is. And of course the mirror polish blade, but we didn't get into that this video. Either way, I'm happy with how it came out. I think it fits nicely in my hands and it's nice and comfortable. And I know that the customer is going to be happy also. Leave me a comment if you're happy with how this came out. And subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so you can get notified on all the videos that I have coming up. Like this video and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.